Hi, everyone, and welcome to Data Engineers Lunch number 32. Today, we are going to be covering converting JSON to CSV. And in this, I will be your presenter today, in addition to your host. So, yeah, we're gonna be using Node.js. In this case, there are a lot of different ways to do it. As you'll see, the organizers for this event are Rahul Singh, Arpan, and myself. And we are always looking for speakers and sponsors. So if you or someone you know has some information related to data engineering that they would like to share and present on, feel free to reach out to us, as well as if you know any companies that would want to sponsor an event like this, especially if we get back to in-person meetups, sponsors could help us with purchasing food or drinks for everyone, and hopefully we'll be able to get back to that soon. We are a part of Data Community DC, and as Data Community DC is a diverse and inclusive environment, people of all races, religions, sexual orientation, everyone's accepted here, and we expect the appropriate respect to be given to everyone. Some of the other groups involved with Data Community DC are listed here, and you can find out more at datacommunitydc.org. They also have other events outside of this one, so definitely check out what they have to offer. What we cover here, we cover everything related to data engineering, essentially. So sources, actual engineering, and end user, so what you can actually do with that data. ETL, all sorts of stuff. This is a point in the introduction where we like to encourage any new members to unmute and share their video if you feel comfortable, and kind of introduce yourself. I'll check the participants. Won't pull any teeth, but if you are new and you'd like to introduce yourself, go ahead right now.
Hi, I'll introduce myself real quick. I'm Fred Smith. I think this is my second time in doing one of these data engineer lunches. I'm a data visualization engineer at KPMG. I've been there for about 3-4 months. My background's kind of working with GIS products, Power BI, Power Apps, that kind of thing. So trying to get more into the more advanced kind of data engineering stuff and move away from some of the low code stuff that I've been working with so far. So yeah, that's my background. I look forward to learning with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Fred. Anyone else interested? Okay, we'll move on. Group rules. If you have a question, excuse me, feel free to ask it. This is meant to be a discussion as well. So if you have additional information or knowledge that you want to share, we definitely encourage jumping into the conversation. Obviously, depending on the speaker, everyone has different rules. For me personally, since I'm presenting today, I don't mind if you unmute or chime in at any point. That's okay with me, or you can ask questions in the chat, although I may not see them till the end of my presentation. Here at Anant, we work with real-time data, big data platforms, kind of our specialty, especially Cassandra, Spark, and Kafka are our main expertise areas. And we're also partnered with DataStax. They also have a lot of events that they put on, and they help promote, we kind of help promote each other. GW University also has hosted these meetups in person in the past. Again, hopefully we can get back to that soon. And they've been supportive of us, so hopefully that will become an option again. Some of our program sponsors, Data Wranglers, you can see are displayed here, as well as some of the organizational sponsors to Data Community DC in general. This is a point in the introduction where if there's anyone with jobs, meetups, conferences, hackathons, that sort of thing, any sort of announcements you may have, feel free to take this time to go ahead and promote them. Okay, I'll take that as, well, we have our own announcement here. Anant is hiring for full or part-time positions as data platform operators, engineers, and architects. You can find out more at careers.anant.us. Some upcoming events. The sister lunch to this is Cassandra Lunch, and will be the one this Wednesday will be covering Apache Cassandra and Apache NiFi, which I believe is a continuation of the previous Cassandra Lunch, as well as we're going to be having a guest speaker in August who's going to be going over Grafana dashboard for Apache Cassandra. Sarma, I won't butcher his last name, is going to be presenting on that. And we will be announcing more events probably by the end of this week for the month of August. So definitely stay tuned. You can always see the upcoming events at anant.us/events. Data Wranglers also has weekly lunch calls, so definitely worth checking them out. Okay, so that is it as far as the introduction goes. So we can go ahead and get into converting JSON to CSV. So what we're going to be covering is kind of what is CSV, why do we need it, some tools, and a demo. The amount of tools out there are really, really extensive. So you'll see in my demo, I ended up actually just using Node.js and then a NPM package, but we'll get into that here shortly. So what is CSV? CSV is character separated values, or more commonly, comma separated values. Just delimited text files with characters separating those values. And CSV actually predates the personal computer. Compilers that could use CSV started as early as 1972. I found that kind of interesting. So it's definitely very common data format. It's almost ubiquitously used in data engineering, as I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. So there's no shortage of tools used to convert it. And typically the reasons we are converting JSON to CSV is not all databases are set up to ingest JSON data. So broadly speaking, it's typically used to transfer data between databases of differing architectures. Also, a bunch of different data analyzation tools can use CSV, including Spark, Elasticsearch, and many more, as well as then spreadsheet programs like Excel and Google Sheets can take in CSV files and display them as tables. Being such a common file format, it really can be used like all over the place. So again, really common. Some of the tools for converting JSON into CSV that I found, and again, as I said before, this is really extensive. I found JQ was actually a really popular option to do this, and we, I believe it was either Arpin or Obi, one of the engineers here to not has done a discussion recently on using JQ for data engineering. Definitely worth checking out. I believe it allows you to make these conversions as like a command line prompt. So writing in there, definitely check out the blog on that. And there's also going to be a YouTube video on using JQ in that manner. I also found Altova Mapforce. They're a paid program, but they advertise being able to convert any file types. So worth checking out, especially if you have a bunch of different formats you are going to need to be using. JSON to CSV, also an online tool, also seemed to be a pretty popular option. Today, I'm going to be covering Node.js using a package called CSV JSON and then also JSON streams. I found it really easy to use and set up and get it working. I don't have like an extremely large data set to practice on today. It's pretty short and we'll step through the code. Small data sets in the demo, and then for the blog post, I think I'm going to tinker with it and try using larger data sets, maybe more deeply nested data sets. So we'll see. I'm going to play with it some more for the write-up. The online tools, as I said, are extensive. There's a lot of, I know it's probably not useful, or at least super useful, like if you're going to be like building this into a pipeline. But the online tools are great for if you just need one file that you have converted into CSV. There were a ton of options out there, a quick Google search, and plenty of places. Some of them were paid, some not paid, but like had a limit on the amount and then wanted you to sign up if you know your data size reached a certain limit. The demo I used for this, the link is here if you just want to download it, download the whole demo in one go. I just kind of recreated what this guy did. So let me share my screen and we'll walk through this demo. Let's do this. Oops. Okay, can you guys see this? Is this large enough? Or here, actually, let's do this. And we'll step through this code. So to get this started, I did my install of CSV JSON and JSON stream. And as I mentioned before, I am using Node.js. So in the file here, we have, our require statements. We have our file system from Node.js. This is a native Node.js statement here. And that's what's going to allow us to read and write our stream. So you can see here, we create a read stream and then we create a write stream that we will use shortly. This is the real bit of code that does most of the work. And this is where we're doing our transforming JSON into CSV. This line here is to establish the header. So you can see if we're on line 1, then, or if we're greater than line 1, we're not going to do anything. But if we are line 1, it's going to create the key. And you'll see that in a second. I'm kind of forgetting exactly what these do, but as you'll see here, then when we create our read stream, we are going to parse the entire JSON object as all. Then we're going to run our transform function and create the write stream. So to demonstrate what we're using here, I just created some test data in JSON format. I used some dad jokes here. What's the best way to count cows? Calculator. Just some silly examples here. And again, it's a small data set. I do want to play around with this using much larger data sets. And then I also quickly created, to see if it worked with nesting, some nested data sets that's still also kind of small, but found this does work as well. And so we'll demonstrate both of those. So let's do our node. And we'll run node readstreams.js. And as you can see, the test data, it generated the CSV file. And oh, it looks like I had set it up for the nested data. So you can see here, we have ID, our test, first nest, second nest, and not nested. And in our CSV file, it captured all of those values, those key values in the header. So you can see our first nest, second nest, not nested. And it grabbed all of those values. So let's go ahead and change this to the other one. And you can see that was rather quickly, but that's to be expected with a file this small. Let's go test data.json. Save this. And we'll run it again. Oh, and it just added that file here. Let's delete this. Okay, and this was our other test data. You can see our ID, setup, and punchline. And each of the values is comma separated now. So this was a fairly simple demonstration. As I said, I want to start playing with it a little bit more and see if I can, start actually, if this is going to be viable in larger and larger data sets. Are there any questions about the code or CSV and JSON in general? Take that as a no. We can, that was all I had for my demo and kind of presentation. So if anyone would like to discuss any other topics or share something they're working on or bring up anything that they would like to see future discussions on, now's an opportunity to do that. Yes, director, you can stop recording. Oh, we do have a question. Hey, Mike, yeah, I did. Using Node.js, and that's what I'm most familiar with as a programming language. And I found this was a pretty easy way to do this. So the question from Mike in the chat, is it robust enough for huge files? That's something I need to test this more with. I did download one extremely large data set and plan on putting it through here. But I'm not sure. I know for the blog post, I will be testing that and writing up more and seeing how it goes, if it is a viable option this way, or if something like JQ is going to be more appropriate for those large files. Yeah, no problem. Let me check. Let's bring up the CR package, library load, CSV JSON. So I'm looking at CSV JSON. They don't mention Explicitly any. Seems like it's just a simple converter with support for streams, which is what I used. They don't mention any specific limitations. Let's see about JSON stream. So I'm not seeing anything on restrictions or limitations per se, but I know. Yeah, so I'm not seeing anything specific right now, Arpin. Okay, and we can go ahead and stop the recording, director, and open it up to general discussion. Or if there are no questions or other things that people would like to discuss, or talks that people would like to request, we can go ahead and give you guys some time back today.